Did you know that over 250 million people around the world listen to heavy metal? Yet gay couples remain almost invisible in its history, from Rob Halford's Quiet Strength beside Thomas Pence to Gaahl breaking black metal taboos with Dan De Vero by his side. Here are 15 gay couples in heavy metal history. 1. Rob Halford and Thomas Pence. The metal legend was Rob Halford. He wore leather, shouted on stage, and ruled the world of heavy metal. But in 1998, he shared something very personal. He told the world he was gay. People were shocked. Rob looked strong and tough. Many didn't expect this. But by being honest, he showed that being gay didn't make him less powerful. He opened a door for others who felt different, but loved metal too. His words helped change the idea of what it means to be strong in music. Behind him stood someone important, Thomas Pence. He wasn't in the spotlight. He didn't sing or play guitar, but he gave Rob something special. Love. A quiet, kind love that helped him feel calm when life got hard. While Rob fought with fame and problems, Thomas gave him peace. Their love wasn't loud. They didn't take pictures for fans. They just cared for each other. And that love gave Rob the strength to be honest and proud. He proved that love and truth are just as strong as any loud song. With Thomas, he found real power. 2. Gaahl and Dan De Vero. The one who looked scary was Gaahl. He wore black and white paint, and his band, Gorgoroth, played dark music. People feared him, but in 2008, he surprised everyone. He quietly said he was gay. The black metal world was shocked. It was a place full of anger and rules. Some fans didn't like it, but others felt free. Gaahl broke the silence. He showed that even in the darkest places, truth could shine. Next to him was Dan De Vero. Dan was different. He wore nice clothes, smiled a lot, and didn't try to be scary. But he and Gaahl fit together perfectly. They were like fire and ice. Their love was strong because it was real. It didn't follow black metal rules. It showed what true rebellion looks like, being yourself, no matter what others think. When they held hands, it was louder than any guitar. Dan didn't try to fit in. He stood proud, and Gaahl didn't stop making music. He made a new band, Gahl's Weird. His songs were still dark, but they also had beauty. His music changed. It became more true. Gaahl removed the mask. What was underneath was stronger than anyone thought. 3. Jessica Pimentel and Thomas Hawk. The one who is strong and loud is Jessica Pimentel. When she sings, it's like a storm. She's not just a singer. She's queer, Latina, and powerful. The world of death metal is tough, but Jessica is tougher. Still, even strong people need someone who understands them. For her, that person is Thomas Hawk, the drummer from Meshuggah. Thomas doesn't talk a lot. He lets his drums do the talking. His music sounds like machines moving in the dark. But when he met Jessica, he found something warm, and she found someone who didn't try to change her. He just stood by her side. They were different, but together they were perfect. She brought fire, he brought rhythm. Together they built something strong, not just music, love, safety. A quiet space where they could just be themselves. They didn't show off their love on social media. They didn't have to. It lived in small moments, after the show, in the silence, in the way they looked at each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Jessica didn't shout about being queer. She lived it. She sang it. And Thomas didn't try to take over her fire. He protected it. In a loud world, their love was quiet but strong. It showed that true power doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes it just listens. Just stay. 4. Vic and KW Campbell. Far away, another strong couple was rising. Vic and KW Campbell are in a band called Vile Creature. They didn't enter the metal world quietly. They came in with love and fire hand in hand. They play doom metal, but not like others. Their music isn't about fantasy. It's about real pain, queer pain, the kind that hurts, but also makes you fight harder. Their songs are heavy, slow, and full of feeling. They sing about survival. Most bands in metal build walls. Vic and KW build bridges. They scream together. They make music from love, anger, and pain. Their relationship isn't hidden. It's at the center of everything they do. Fans don't just listen to their music, they feel it. Their shows are like special moments where people come together to feel strong and seen. It's not just music, it's healing. Off the stage, they keep helping others. They run a vegan tattoo shop. They support other artists. They show that love can be loud, strong, and kind all at once. What makes them special isn't just their sound, it's how they use love to fight silence. They show that being open and real is the bravest thing you can do. Maria Stock and Noel D.K. Gilson, the ones who were not just in a band, but in love, were Maria Stock and Noel D.K. Gilson. They played in a band called Regana, where their music came from deep feelings of pain, love, and the need to speak out. Their songs weren't just sounds, they were full of emotion, truth, and power. They didn't meet by accident. Maria and Noel found each other during protests and through their art. They both cared about justice. They wanted to make a change. When they started making music together, it was like they were speaking the same secret language. Their songs were about sadness, anger, and the fight to survive in a world that didn't always understand them. Their music didn't follow rules. It broke them. They didn't try to be famous. They played in basements, at protests, and in small rooms with people who felt like the world forgot them. Still, those shows meant everything. They were loud, honest, and full of heart. Black and doom metal became their voice. Maria and Noel played loud guitars, screamed, and created moments of quiet too. Every note and word showed who they were. Their queerness wasn't hidden. It was part of every song. They weren't pretending. They were showing the world who they really were. For them, music was more than just music. It was a way to survive. It helped others feel strong too. Their albums felt like a friend in hard times. They gave people hope, strength, and truth. They loved each other, but the world wasn't always kind. It can be hard to hold on to love when the world wants to ignore who you are. Still, Maria and Noel stayed strong. They kept playing. They kept loving. Regana wasn't just a band. It was a message. It showed that love can be loud, that sadness can make something beautiful, that being queer is something powerful, not something to hide. They didn't try to change music, but they did. They made something real, and people listened, because when music comes from the heart, it can shake the world. 6. Samantha Michelle Smith and Stuart Prickett. The ones who were not your usual metal band couple were Samantha Michelle Smith and Stuart Prickett. They made music together in a group called Broken Anatomy. Their music was slow, sad, and heavy, like a cold winter night. But under all the sadness, there was love. Not loud love, quiet, deep love that you could feel in every song. The singer was Samantha, a transgender woman who didn't hide who she was. Her voice wasn't just singing, it was telling the truth. It was soft but strong. Stuart played guitar. He didn't just play notes, he created feelings. His music wrapped around Samantha's voice like a warm blanket in a cold room. Their songs were long, sometimes more than 10 minutes. They sang about hard things like death, being alone, pain, and hope. The songs didn't shout, they whispered. But those whispers were powerful. It felt like they were sharing secrets, and in every song you could hear how much they loved each other. It wasn't easy love. It was real love that held strong even when life was hard. They weren't trying to be famous. They were trying to make a space for people like them, people who felt different or left out. Their albums felt like private talks, like reading a secret letter. They gave names to their albums like The Lazarus Regret and A Shadow Deemed Worthy. The music wasn't just music. It felt like something holy. They made music that helped people feel seen. For queer people and outsiders, those songs were a light in the dark, a way to know they weren't alone. Broken Anatomy didn't stay together forever, but the songs they made still live on. What happens when the love behind the music fades? Even if the band stopped, the feelings they shared in their songs didn't go away. That music is still out there, waiting for someone to listen and feel that quiet, powerful love. Samantha and Stuart showed the world that even in the darkest music, there can be truth, beauty, and love. They found each other in the dark, and through their music, they helped others find a little bit of light too. Sean Reinert and Paul Masvidal. Back in the late 1980s in Florida, two young guys named Sean Reinert and Paul Masvidal started something new. They weren't just playing loud metal music. They were creating a sound that was smart, different, and full of feeling. They joined a band called Death and worked on an album called Human. It didn't sound like anything else. People said it was like jazz and fire mixed together. Sean's drums moved like waves. Paul's guitar seemed to float over the noise. Later, they started their own band called Cynic. This music was still metal, but it was also soft and shiny. There were clean singing parts and electronic sounds. Sometimes it even felt quiet and calm. A lot of people didn't understand it. But Sean and Paul didn't stop. They had a secret they were scared to share. For more than 20 years, they kept something inside, not about music, but about themselves. They were both gay. In the metal world, that felt risky. Metal was supposed to be loud, strong, and straight, so they kept smiling, touring, and playing. But deep down, they were hiding. Then in 2014, they told the truth. They said, "Yes, we are gay," and the world didn't fall apart. Some fans cheered, others said nothing. But things felt different. Paul said that being honest helped him write music that felt real. Sean said he could finally breathe. Now they were more than musicians. They were brave people showing others it was okay to be yourself. Sadly, in 2020, Sean passed away. He was only 48 years old. The news hurt many people. The music world was quiet for a moment, but Sean's impact didn't disappear. Sean and Paul changed metal music. They made it gentle when needed, weird when others played it safe, and honest when it mattered most. They showed that metal can be anything, even full of love. 8. Kristen Hayter and KW. The one who sang like her heart was breaking was Kristen Hayter. KW Campbell played music that felt like big rocks crushing everything. Kristen used the name lingua ignota, which means unknown language. KW was part of a band called Vile Creature. Their music was slow, loud, and heavy, like thunder. When they met, they felt something strong right away. It wasn't a sweet or calm love. It was wild and full of feelings they couldn't hide. Both of them had been hurt before. They took that pain and made music out of it. When they became a couple, their music didn't stop. It got even stronger. Kristen's shows were loud and strange, like a mix of church music and scary noise. She looked like she was ripping herself open when she sang. KW's music was slow and crushing, like the world falling down in slow motion. They never made a music album together, but they shared their life. They went places together, supported each other, and told people the truth about who they were. Their love wasn't perfect. It was real and full of ups and downs. Their relationship was a part of their art. Later, things changed. Kristen decided to stop working on lingua ignota. She wanted a quiet life. KW kept going with Vile Creature, using music to talk about pain and strength. Even though they weren't together for a long time, their time together mattered. They showed people that queer love belongs in heavy music too. They showed that you can be hurt and still be amazing. That you can be loud and still be soft inside. They didn't try to make people feel good. Kristen and KW wanted people to feel something real. They showed that heavy music doesn't mean nothing inside. That pain can help us grow. That love, even if it ends, can still change everything. Can a broken heart be louder than a scream? Maybe. Kristen and KW showed us how. 9. Hunter Hunt Hendricks and Alex Ebert. The one who was not just any musician was Hunter Hunt Hendricks. She played loud, powerful black metal music with her band, Liturgy, but she didn't want to do things the old way. Instead of making angry music, she made songs that sounded strange, beautiful, and full of feelings. Her music was about finding something special in the middle of all the noise. A trans woman, Hunter changed from the person she was born as to become who she really is. That's not easy, but she was brave. She shared her story with the world through her music. Every song was like a piece of her heart. She called her style transcendental black metal. That just means music that helps people feel something bigger and better even when life is hard. Then she met Alex Ebert. Alex made a different kind of music. He was in a band called Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. Their songs were happy, soft, and full of hope. His world was light and dreamy. Hunter's world was loud and dark. But somehow they fit together. As she was going through big changes in her life, Alex was there. He didn't leave when things got tough. He stayed by her side and gave her peace when everything felt crazy. Their love wasn't about being famous. It was about being real, kind, and strong for each other. They didn't make a record together, but their love helped Hunter make her most special music ever. She wrote an opera called Origin of the Alimonies. It was full of wild sounds and big dreams. It told a story about becoming who you really are. And behind all the music was love, the quiet, strong kind that helps you grow. In a music world where queer people often feel left out, Hunter and Alex showed that love and music can make a new space. They didn't just change the sound, they changed what the sound could mean. What if love could turn noise into something beautiful? 10. Mal Bloom and Elise Okusami. The ones who didn't care about being famous were Mal Bloom and Elise Okusami. They cared about being real. Both made music to help people feel better, not to show off. Mal wrote songs about being confused, scared, and trying to understand who you are. As a trans-masculine artist, their music explored what that felt like. Elise played rock with loud guitars and deep feelings. Her band, Oceanator, made songs that felt like the world was falling apart, but she kept dancing anyway. When they met, it wasn't about how they looked or who was more known. It was about helping each other grow. They understood each other in ways most people didn't. They never made an album together, but their time as a couple shaped their music. Mal's albums Pity Boy and Ain't It Nice felt more personal, like whispering secrets to a friend. Elise's Things I Never Said and Nothing's Ever Fine held more than just her own story. They carried echoes of something shared. They never used each other's names in lyrics, but listeners could feel the connection. Something lived behind the sound. Their love wasn't perfect. It wasn't always easy. But it was real. In their songs, you could hear the pain, the healing, and the hope. Even after the breakup, the feelings stayed in the music. After they parted ways, they didn't stop. Mal kept fighting for trans voices to be heard in music. Elise kept carving out space for raw emotion in rock. So what happens to love when it's gone, but still lives in a song? They showed us it doesn't have to be perfect to matter. Their story isn't just about love. It's a guide for kids who don't see themselves in love songs, for anyone who feels lost but still wants to be loved. Their music says it's okay to be messy, it's okay to feel too much, and it's always okay to be yourself. 11. Emily Highfield and Carrie Vervoort. In the loud world of metal music, where most things are angry and wild, something quiet and special grew. Emily Highfield was sad and full of deep feelings. She started a band called Suldusk, all by herself. But Suldusk wasn't just a band. It was her way of turning her pain into music. Her songs sounded soft but strong, like whispers mixed with thunder. They were not only about dark things like death. they were also about love, sadness, and feelings too big to explain. Emily wasn't alone. Carrie Vervoort was there too. She made art, but she also made magic with Emily. Carrie didn't just draw pictures for the albums. She helped create the feeling of the music. They were more than friends. They were partners in love and in art. You could feel their love in every song and every picture. The forests, the soft lights, and the sad words all showed how much they cared for each other. Together, they made music that didn't need to yell. It was quiet, but powerful. In a world of loud anger, they gave us calm. Their music helped people feel better. It was full of queer love, soft and beautiful. Not loud or proud, but deep and real. Their songs helped people feel less alone. Some feelings are hard to say out loud, but Soldusk's music said them with sound. It felt like walking through a foggy forest. You didn't know where you were going, but you felt safe. Their love and their music showed the truth. Even after they grew apart, their art stayed strong. The music didn't go away. It stayed like a soft memory, always there. But now, a question hangs in the air. What happens when the hearts behind the music stop beating together? 12. Gaahl and Robin Jacobson. In the world of black metal, everything is dark and scary. The music is loud, the voices scream, and people wear scary makeup. Gaahl was one of the most famous black metal singers. He was from cold, icy Norway. On stage, he looked like a ghost. He shouted like a monster. People thought he was full of hate. But then something happened that no one expected. One day, Gaahl showed the world something different. He held hands with a man named Robin Jacobson. This small act was a big deal. In black metal, people don't talk about love. They don't show soft feelings. So when Gaahl and Robin were seen together, it shocked everyone. Fans didn't know what to think. Robin was not in a band. He didn't dress like a monster. He was an artist. He liked quiet things. He and Gaahl didn't fight away or scream. They were calm. When they walked together in the sun or smiled in magazines, it was powerful. Their love was real. It wasn't a show. And that scared some people in the black metal world. Some fans got angry, some were afraid, but many saw something new, hope. They saw that you can be yourself. You don't have to hide. Even in a place like black metal, you can show love and still be strong. Gaahl and Robin made people think. Maybe black metal could be about truth, not just fear. Even after they stopped being together, their story stayed strong. Gaahl kept making music. Robin kept making art. And people remembered their courage. Because of them, some fans now feel brave enough to be honest about who they are. Black metal used to be all about hiding in the dark. Now, thanks to Gaahl and Robin, there is some light too. Love can be loud, love can be strong, and even in the scariest music, love can survive. But how do you keep love safe in a world that wants to break it? And what do you do when the world finally sees the real you? 13. Brandon McCarty and Charlie Kerr. The ones who were more than just musicians were Brandon McCarty and Charlie Kerr. They were brave, loud, and full of love. They made music that was wild and different. They called their project Transgressive Systems. It wasn't just a band. It was a warning, a scream, a big, noisy message. Brandon made the sounds. He liked breaking rules. His music was full of weird noises, buzzes, crashes, and howls. He used machines to make sounds that felt alive, like animals trapped in wires. Charlie added the words. He didn't write soft songs. He wrote about real pain, about what it feels like when people don't see you. His voice could be soft or loud, but it always meant something. Their songs didn't try to be popular. They weren't made to be catchy. Songs like Error State and Binary Flesh didn't ask you to like them. They wanted you to feel something, maybe even something hard. They sounded broken on purpose, like a broken mirror that shows a new truth. Their music felt like being queer in a world that tries to erase you. It was scary. It was confusing. But it was also strong. You could feel their love in every note. Sometimes the music got quiet, and that silence was louder than any scream. When they played live shows, they didn't just perform. They created something big and strange. They wore glowing masks. Wires hung from them like they were part machine. They moved like fire. The stage was full of energy. The crowd didn't just watch. They joined in. Some people cried. Some danced. Others just stared, trying to understand what they were feeling. It was more than music. It was a feeling of love, pain, and truth all at once. Outside the music, they kept fighting. Brandon and Charlie cared about trans rights, queer safety, and digital privacy. They made small books called zines. They helped others. They made places where people could be real and safe. They didn't just want to make songs. They wanted to make the world better. They didn't ask the metal world to accept them. They told it to pay attention. In a kind of music that often hides from queer voices, they stood proud. Not as extras, but as leaders. They helped build something new and strong. For them, love wasn't soft. It was wild and sharp. It was alive. It cracked through machines and noise. It said, "We are still here. We will not be silent." They didn't just make music. Brandon and Charlie made something that mattered. They made history, full of fire, feeling, and the kind of love that changes everything. 14. Otep Shamaya and Josephine Maurer. The ones who were more than just artists were Otep Shamaya and Josephine Maurer. Their story was about love, pain, and fighting to be seen. It started in the early 2000s when Otep broke into the music world with a scream so loud no one could ignore it. She didn't ask to fit in. She made her own place. Her music was angry, full of fire, and full of truth. A proud lesbian, Otep never hid who she was. Her songs were honest and wild. She used her music like a weapon. Every lyric was like a punch against hate. She shouted for people who felt alone, who felt broken. Her voice wasn't just music, it was a lifeline. Then came Josephine Maurer. She wasn't just a fan, she was a dreamer, a performer, and an artist. Josephine didn't try to calm Otep. She joined her fire. She brought color, light, and strange beauty. Their love wasn't soft. It was strong, loud, and full of power. Together, they changed everything. Otep's music became deeper. Albums like Hydra and Generation Doom had more feeling, more pain, and more heart. The songs were about fighting, loving, and surviving. They were about standing tall in a world that wanted to crush you. With Josephine's help, Otep's vision grew. The shows became wild dreams, full of masks, fire, and truth. The music videos were raw and beautiful. It wasn't just noise, it was art, it was emotional. Their love was like armor. It gave them strength. In interviews, Otep spoke about queer love like it was a battle cry. She wasn't just singing for fans, she was singing for the invisible ones, the hurt ones, the ones who needed to hear, "You matter." Josephine kept Otep grounded. She gave advice, support, and love. She wasn't just beside her, she was part of her. Their love was real, not perfect, but real. And in a world that feared softness, they showed that feelings are not weak, they are powerful. But even fire can fade. Some say their story ended. Others believe it changed, not ended. Maybe it still lives in the music, in art. In this way, a scream can still feel like hope. They weren't just in love. Otep and Josephine were a movement, a light in the dark, a loud scream that told others, "You are not alone." And maybe somewhere out there, someone else is picking up that light right now. Maybe another artist is listening to Otep's words, feeling Josephine's colors, and finding their own fire. Maybe they're building something new from what these two started. Something brave, something loud, something full of truth. Because even if their chapter is over, the story isn't. It's still being written in every song, every scream, every stage lit with fire and feeling. And that means their love, their fight, their fire. It all lives on. 15. Chris Freeman and John Giannoli. Back in the 1990s, it was really hard to be gay in the world of rock music. People didn't talk about it. If you were gay, you kept it secret. You stayed quiet. But two men, Chris Freeman and John Giannoli, decided not to hide. They wanted to be seen and heard. They were not just musicians. They were also a couple. And they started something big. They formed a band called Pansy Division. Even the name got people talking. This band was loud and proud. They didn't try to blend in. They sang about love, desire, heartbreak, and being gay. Their music was full of energy and truth. While other bands sang about war or substances, Chris and John sang about their real lives. They were different, and they were proud of it. They played punk rock with some metal sound. The music was fast and fun, but the words were real. Some songs made you laugh, some made you think. Their music talked about what it felt like to be different. It talked about being scared, being proud, and just wanting to be yourself. People didn't always like it. Some people laughed at them. Some were mean, but they didn't stop. They kept going. They played louder. They smiled more. They used the hate to push forward. They were brave. They stood on stage and showed the world who they really were. They weren't trying to shock. They were just being honest. In 1994, something big happened. Pansy Division went on tour with Green Day. That was huge. Then they opened for Metallica and Guns N' Roses. Those were big rock bands with big crowds. A lot of people in the audience had never seen a gay punk band before. Some didn't know how to react. Some were rude. Some were confused. But Chris and John didn't stop. They played their music loud and proud. Even when their romantic relationship ended, they stayed friends. They kept making music. They put all their feelings into their songs. Albums like Absurd Pop Song Romance and Total Entertainment talked about sadness, love, and being proud. They didn't give up. Their friendship became stronger. Their music got deeper. Their words were full of feeling. Chris and John showed that you can be gay and still rock hard. You can be proud. You don't have to hide. They didn't follow the rules. They made their own path. They gave hope to other people who felt different. They said, "You belong here too." They were the first to do what they did. No guidebook, no signs, just two guys, their guitars, and a big truth. They sang it out loud. They didn't care if the world didn't understand. They just kept going. Even when it got hard, they kept going. And slowly, people began to hear them. And some even started to sing along.